Hello there, my name is Corollas Masood, and in my Globalization through Film final project, I would like to discuss Egyptian immigration to the U.S. Although this is a broad topic, I picked out a few reasons on why they immigrate, the status of Egypt, and connect it to the globalization aspect. In the early 2000s, my parents immigrated from Egypt and immigrated into the U.S. To help you better understand the two words, I put them on the screen for you. Think of E and immigrated as exit and I and immigrated as in. So we immigrated from Egypt and immigrated into the US. Before we start, here's a cool fact. Between 1820 and 1969, there were only fewer than 12,000 Egyptians immigrated into the US. From 1970 to 2019, there's approximately 430,000 Egyptians who immigrated into the US. So, here's why. The number one reason is opportunities. And no matter how cliche it sounds, it's pretty true. In the 80s, Egypt saw a decline in jobs and increasing number of homelessness and poverty. According to the UNICEF, 12 million people in Egypt are homeless and 1 million of them are children. The second big reason people leave Egypt to go to the US is religious persecution. For thousands of years, Coptic Christians and Jewish people have been persecuted for their religious beliefs in Egypt. Many Egyptians for the past decade have fled Egypt to go to a different country. Unlike the US, Egypt's government is run with religion, meaning its laws are based off Muslim laws because it's the primary religion of the country. So many families in Egypt would be killed by Muslim extremists for simply going to church. So the best option for us would be finding somewhere who don't mind us practicing our religion. And the best country for that would be the US. By the way, people who flee their country for any type of persecution, such as religious persecution, war, or even natural disaster, is called a refugee. The third reason is military conscription. This means the Egyptian government forces all 25-year-old males to go into a military service.
ما قدرتش فيهم أسافر، ما قدرتش أعمل ماجستير مع إن كان في فرص كتير. ما قدرتش حتى أقدر يعني أخد وظيفة لأن دايما كانوا بيطلبوا.
Service is usually postponed for students until their studies are finished, but before they turn 25 years old, they are not allowed to travel abroad without the travel permit from the Ministry of Defense. And their services can go up to 1 to 3 years depending on the country's need. Parents who would want to immigrate would want to do that early before their child is of age so that they're not eligible for a forced draft. Final factor that I would like to discuss is why Egypt is so poor in the first place. Well, there are many factors to that as well. For one, the country has been conquered more than 14 times throughout its history. While Egypt has been around for thousands of years, the current government has only been there around 70 to 80 years after it's been colonized repeatedly by multiple nations. This makes it impossible to end poverty or end homelessness at an immediate rate. Another factor to connecting Egyptian economy to globalization is through the Suez Canal. In the 50s, the Suez Canal was nationalized by the Egyptian president Gamal Abdel Nasser. But Britain supported Israel in the war as they believed since Britain helped build it, then they should have part of it. This is an example of what we call a global conflict in globalization. Global conflict is another big reason why Egypt's economic progression has been very, very slow. I hope you learned a little bit today about Egypt, immigration, and globalization. I'll see you guys around on the MT campus.